lost power.
Hello, 大家好, Zimbabwe. Today we are cooking cabbage rice and pork rib soup. I've had this before, but didn't really think about it until I was watching an Instagram account that I like. It's this guy that interviews chefs and people who are in service, bartenders, baristas in Taiwan, and he's always like, where do you go after service? I feel like 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, I go get cabbage rice pork rib soup. And they say it in this way where it's like almost one word in Chinese. It's like, 排骨汤高丽菜饭. So I'm always hearing like, 排骨汤高丽菜饭. So we're going to make that today. So to make the pork rib soup, first we need pork ribs. I have pre-boiled these, so put them in cold water, bring them to a boil, and then rinse them off. The reason you want to do this is because you want a very clear and clean soup. And then we have daikon and ginger and salt. So I'm going to peel the daikon first. Just peel it down the length. I'm going to chop this in half. You kind of want a 1-to-1 ratio of pork to daikon, so I'm going to use the whole daikon. Okay, and the last ingredient is ginger, so I'm just going to do a few slices like that. So I'll put all the ingredients in the inner pot. So first the spare ribs, then I'll put the ginger in, then I'll put the daikon in. Then I'm going to give it a couple big pinches of salt because this is a lot of radish and it's going to be a lot of stock. We can always salt it more later. And shake some white pepper in. Now I'm just going to fill this and top this off with water. Pop this in. Then I'm going to add water to the outside. I'm going to cover it and get it started.
Well, it flickered for a while, and I was like, oh, shit.
We go to high base on this hill. Yeah. And see where we're at.
Nah, I still got nothing.
How many V-mounts do we have? 4.
Okay, and action.
Hello. Welcome back to Cooking with Steve. As you may have noticed, everything around us has changed. The whole time we were filming, it looked like we were having a wonderful sunny day outside, cozy day with the Tatung. It's actually been storming. A tree fell down, siren is going off, and we lost power. And in fact, the whole town has lost power. So we will carry on because cooking with steam is actually not about cooking with electricity, it's about cooking with water. Unfortunately, our little friend, the Tatung, is not going to be helping us out for the rest of this episode because it requires electricity and that we do not have. We actually tried to run this off of the car. It didn't work. So we were cooking with steam. Now we're going to be cooking with gas and steam, and that's it. So carry on. So cabbage rice is part of a family of rice dishes called salty rice. So there's fried rice, and then salty rice is like fried rice's, overlooked older brother. The way that you do it is instead of frying the rice with all of these ingredients, you steam the rice with all these ingredients and seasonings. So cabbage rice is actually, it's cabbage, but it's also mushroom, and dried shrimp, and pork bellies. So these are shiitake mushrooms. They were pre-soaked the night before. They've been already taken out of their liquid, and I'm gonna give them a good squeeze. We're in the dark, so this is a real testament to my knife skills, which I feel have actually gotten a lot better since I started doing Pilates. Put your feet on the ground, hip width apart, tuck your tailbone in, get that lower core strength going. Yeah, I don't usually peel carrots actually, but I feel that for this dish, we want them to get really tender. So I'm gonna peel them, and also just for a more vibrant color. Yay! Okay, so we wanna cut these kind of thin, but not too thin because we're gonna steam them for a while. We don't want them to disappear. The fastest way to julienne a carrot, in my opinion, is just cut it along the diagonal like this, and then take that stack like this, and then just chop them, but I'm not going to do too thin. It's a little bit easier. We've got the dried shrimp. Dried shrimp has been pre-soaked. These are like little dried, almost like shrimp shells or paper shrimp. I soaked them the night before. You can soak them the day of. They come in bags like this. When you open it, definitely smells like fish food, but it tastes really great, and it's something that is just totally essential to a lot of Taiwanese cooking. This is a special cabbage. This is called a Taiwan flat cabbage. It's very dense, but it's also a little hollow. I don't know if you can kind of hear that. And it's very sweet, it's very crunchy, and this is what you'd use to make like a classic pao tai, and it's also like the cabbage that's usually used in Taiwan. You can kind of see that there's like these spaces and things like that inside, and just tear them into like nice big pieces. It tastes great raw as well. It's kind of cathartic too. Now we have to do the shallots, which are very important. So I'm just gonna slice these up, just peel off the outer skin. Not just the pink paper, but the actual first layer of shallot skin. Getting into my eyes now. This is a beautiful pork belly from a Berkshire pig. You can just use regular pork belly, but I love this kind. It's a little bit easier to slice up pork belly if you kind of like par freeze it. So you could stick it in your freezer for 30 minutes or something, and then you can slice it up really nice and neat. All right, so that is the pork belly. So as I said, we don't have the datung anymore, so we're gonna do everything on the stove, and we're gonna stir fry all these ingredients. This is my treasured carbon steel wok. I've had it for like 15 years. I cook in it every day. Treat it like a cast iron pan. Don't use soap on it and don't abrade it, and it will be good to you. So I'm gonna put the peanut oil in, a couple tablespoons, guesstimating is fine. And I'm gonna wait for that to get kind of hot, not necessarily smoking, but just enough that I can really smell it. So I'm gonna stir fry all the shallots. Once these guys start to release their water and give off more fragrance, we will add the shrimp and the mushrooms. Boom, and then the shrimp. Give that a toss. And we'll cook these until things start to get just a touch caramelized. I'm just stirring it all the time because I don't want any one thing to be overcooked. So this looks good. I'm gonna add the pork now. Just gonna push some of the ingredients up to the edges so we can put the pork on the hottest surface. So we wanna cook this until the pork kind of starts to caramelize as well. With some exceptions, you really wanna use like high heat, just go high. I used to have this experience where I'd go to my friend's house and I'd be cooking food like this, and I'd turn around and go do something, and my one friend in particular would always turn it down to medium low, and I'm like, cannot turn my heat down to medium low. So don't be afraid to go hot with the stir fry. We really want it to cook quickly. We want things to sear. I'm on the edge of where I'm like, okay, I don't want to cook this too much longer. So just a quick cool down is to deglaze it with rice wine. I'm putting the carrots in last because I don't really want them to overcook. So we're gonna put a lot of salt in because we're salting for 2 whole cups of rice. So this is gonna look a little salty, but that's okay. We're also gonna add soy paste. So this is a sweet, thick kind of soy sauce glaze. It's gonna give it like a sweet flavor, but the sugars will also caramelize a bit. It's roughly like 2 tablespoons. You can probably smell that like burnt sugar smell already. Smells really good. And then I'm going to add white pepper. And then I'm gonna add the cabbage in. The cabbage will start to give up its water pretty soon, and everything will cool down a little bit. So we just want the cabbage to start to wilt. We don't wanna like cook it down because it's gonna be steamed, so we don't wanna risk over steaming it. So I'm gonna let it go like maybe a minute, give it a couple stirs. Yeah, it's about right. It's pretty salty. We need great seasoning. I'm putting that lost cabbage in. Okay, let me turn it off. So I'm gonna take 1/3 of it and set it aside, as we're not gonna steam this part because we still want some like crunchy and green, vibrant bits, and the steam will soften things a little bit. So now we're ready to move on to the rice step. Grab my precious bag of Penglai rice from Taiwan, and I'm gonna do 2 cups of rice for this recipe. We are not using the sink because the water is not running, so I'm gonna use a pitcher of our drinking water. So at home, I usually do this about 3 times. All rice is different, and what you're looking for is for the water to become more clear so you can actually see the rice through it after you've agitated it like this. Okay, so this is looking good. So this is kind of the level where you want it, where you can actually see the rice through, and you'll know then that you'll have gotten enough of the starch out to make a really great pot of rice. So I'm just pouring all of the rice out into a strainer so that I make sure to get all the water out because we're gonna add water back in and I don't wanna mess with my measurements there. So we're ready to add the cabbage mixture. So we're back at the stove. I wanted to check on the pork rib soup. So you can see that the broth is really pretty clear, and that's because we boiled the pork first. We never want this to come to a rolling boil because all the proteins and fats will emulsify and create a milky stock. So it's important to keep this relatively low and slow. Now what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna improv a Tatung setup. So what I've devised is I've gotten this sort of trivet or metal grate, and I'm gonna put that down into the bottom of this wok. And then I'm gonna put this on top just like that. And then I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm just gonna turn this steamer, like normally this is the bottom, but I'm just gonna turn it upside down so that it fits over that pot to cover it. And then I'll just pop the lid on top. So I wanna make sure we see water kind of above the level of the edge of the steamer, or else the steamer will start to char and smoke because it'll be contacting that carbon steel edge. So it kind of comes up the side. Make the cabbage rice. We just take this delicious mixture and put it into the rice. We still have some reserved to add later. So we're gonna pretend like we're in the Tatung. So we put 2 cups of rice in. We need 2 cups of water. I'm gonna do a scant 2 cups of water because the cabbage has water in it. So here's 1, the 0.8. This should work. It's kind of an experiment. Let's see what happens. Put this in. The water level is pretty high. It might make a mess, but I think that's okay for today. We've got fire, we've got water, we have cabbage and rice. I'm just gonna open it in about 15 minutes. If it's done, it's done. And if it's not, I'll just put the top back on and we'll keep steaming. Okay, so this looks great. The cabbage looks perfectly steamed, and you'll see that the rice has this really beautiful caramelized color that comes from the cabbage and the pork and the mushroom. And then you'll notice that the texture of this is a little bit crispier and fresher than the stuff that we steamed. So that's why we reserve this, just to provide that kind of contrast. We're gonna steam it for 5 minutes more, but really it's just to heat it up. And then the lid, and I'll add a little bit more water. We'll relight the fire and get it going again. I'm going to mix it all up. It smells really good, like the streets of Taiwan, actually. So just put it into the rice bowl like this. Try to get some big chunks, some small stuff. There we go. Then, just a bit of cilantro. So to plate this, you're going to want to put a couple of spare ribs into each bowl. And then a few daikon as well. So the stock is very clear. And now we're just going to garnish it with a few things. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, shake of white pepper if you have it, and then a little bit of cilantro. And then I love to put a drizzle of sesame oil. This is toasted white sesame oil, just to give it that extra nutty flavor. And that's the soup. All right, there you have it, a perfect pairing of cabbage rice and pork rib soup, 排骨汤高丽菜饭. Yes, I got it. Thank you for sticking with us through this. I'm pretty excited to dig into this comforting home-cooked meal. It's perfect. The rice is cooked perfectly. It has that extra smoky flavor from the wok. The cabbage is crunchy. The mushrooms are tender. It's great. I'm gonna eat this for dinner. And let's try this out. So the soup is very clear. It's very light. It's a really perfect accompaniment to a pretty heavy and highly seasoned dish. And then the pork spare rib should be very, very tender. Yeah, it's like fall off the bone tender. Really good results. Cooking with steam. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe. Really like and subscribe because this was hard work.